Hello, everyone. This is Liz. Welcome to Knowledge Return, where this is a space where we make it commonplace to talk about energy and spirituality as a part of our normal everyday experience. Today, I'm going to address a question I received in the past regarding the difference between the ego and your inner self. How do you tell the difference? And when you're being guided by your inner self. To keep the discussions general, let's replace the term inner self with intuition. We've all heard of the term and possibly used the term intuition. It's that knowing, that feeling, that understanding in a certain situation. Now, this is the example that I provided. You know, when you're in the middle of a choice or decision about something, in your head, you may say, should I do this? Whatever that thing is that you're considering. The first response is usually your intuition providing guidance. It may be the faintest whisper or a quick thought, but it's usually that first one. So when I was given this example, as I was talking to someone, when they said, okay, all right. However, sometimes that first response that I get is telling me to do something that's out of my comfort zone. And I feel that I would be out of character in doing that. And at that point, I was like, yeah, that most likely was your intuition. And I say that because in my experience, I found that every time I was guided to do something out of my character, out of my comfort zone, it has always been to my benefit, even if I couldn't immediately understand it at that time. I was never guided to do anything that would either harm me or harm someone else. So that guidance, even though it seems like it's out of character for us or out of our comfort zone, that was our inner guidance given some direction. However, as part of my life experience, I have example after example where I was guided to take an action that maybe within days, months, or even years would later benefit me, but I didn't understand it in that moment. My guide was always challenging me to create my own path. If a door seemed to be closed, it was always teaching and guiding me, build your own door and then step through it. My life journey has been about questioning things and creating my own path. And I say it like that because early on I understood I was being guided and I was trusting in my guidance, but I did see that there was a pattern to that. And that was getting out of my comfort zone, or what I considered my comfort zone. One example of that is how I actually got my first job right out of college. And this is a story that I haven't really shared even with my colleagues. But this is a story I guess I'll share now. When I share this story, some people might think of it as a bunch of coincidences happening and things just aligning. And one thing I will say, and I've learned over the years, there's no such thing as coincidences. However, going through it at that time, I probably would have considered it coincidences aligning. So many years ago, after I had graduated from college, I was doing a lot of college interviews, but I didn't have anything solid. One day, I went back to my old high school to visit my guidance counselor. You know, we had a nice rapport, so I went back to visit my guidance counselor and just tell him about my experiences with college and, completing college and my degree and things like that. And in that, at that moment, he said, "Well, do you want to share that experience at one of the classrooms?" Decision one. Now, at this time, I'm still that quiet person who really doesn't talk. I still have anxiety in speaking. But probably in that moment, I hear my inner voice, yes. So even though I have this anxiety and a little, hesitation, I still say yes. So I say yes. And with this impromptu discussion with a bunch of students, I didn't know if they would care for the discussion or not. However, like I said yes, and I did it. In the end, it went well. I got a lot of feedback, got a lot of engagement from the students, and they had a lot of questions. And that went so well that the counselor left it open that if I ever wanted to come back to speak with the students, just let him know. So I did end up taking on that opportunity. Maybe a few weeks later or something like that, I came back with a family member, and what we did this time was we shared our experiences with her going to an in-state college and me going to an out-of-state college and a historically black college and university. So we were doing the pros and cons of that, and we had engaging conversations with students in the classroom. So again, another scenario, even though I was a little hesitant about public speaking, it seems like in this scenario I felt comfortable. I felt in my element in this situation. So it went well again. So now it's at the point where the counselor says to me, we're going to tomorrow we're going to have a career day. Do you want to come to the career day and sit with the other companies and talk about engineering, talking about degree? So I was set up with the rest of the tech companies. Anyway, the day is going along and I'm addressing questions from the students. And at this point, I think that I had received a lot of questions directly from the students because they remember me from past days of having discussions in their classroom. So they're probably coming with me. I'm addressing questions. So after a while, one of the representatives from one of the companies comes over to me, introduces themselves, and we have a little chat and we talk a little bit. And they were saying how, I seem really knowledgeable about, engineering and different concepts. And finally she asked, so what company are you representing? And I'm like, I just graduated. I'm still, I'm not with any company right now. I'm still interviewing. And, that's where I am right now. At that moment, she's like, really? And she offered me to interview with her company. And the rest is history from there. Now, I will say there were some glitches in that. And again, I still had anxiety at this point in doing interviews and speaking and everything like that. So I felt at that time my interview was terrible because I was still had that nervous when I was in that setting. However, the person who was interviewing me was actually the person who was representing at the career day. And so they saw me in that other element. They saw me being knowledgeable. They saw me being engaging. And so they used that reference as a means to say, okay, maybe this person is just extremely nervous. I'm going to take a risk on them. And so from there, I did get the job. And yeah, the rest is history because even though the name of the company has changed, my positions have changed over the years. I've been with this company for almost 30 years. So, but I wanted to say it took me stepping out of my comfort zone to do public speaking that later resulted in an employment opportunity. This was not only about being at the right place at the right time. This was also about being in your authentic self and letting your light shine. And when you do that, people take notice. It is that intuition or inner guidance that knows us better than we know ourselves. So it put me in a situation that even though I thought that I would be nervous about or I couldn't do. It already knew you know how to do things you have passion about. You know how to talk about things you have passion about. And when you do, the rest is history. So it took me trusting in my inner guidance and stepping out of my comfort zone. And like I said, experience after experience has been that in my journey in my life. So with that, how do you know the difference? Like I said, it's usually your first instinct. It's that first voice in your head that's telling you. And yes, I find that they challenge us. And what they're really doing is saying, this is who you are. You're not this over here. This is who you are. So you got to be it. So they put us in situations where we have to be it. Be who we are. And that's it. So, but it does take time. It takes trust. And when you see that you're being guided in a way that benefits you in the end, that's when you really begin to build that trust. But you do have to step out your comfort zone. Most likely you'll have to step out your comfort zone to do what your intuition is guiding you to do. So with that, hopefully there's a little bit, I'm sure you come back with other examples, but that's just one. All right, everyone. With that, have a great day.